north. Now, for more on this case and what could happen, let's bring in our legal panel. David Schwartz, defense attorney and former prosecutor. Mercedes Colwyn is a Fox News legal analyst. Welcome to you both. Mercedes, let me start with you. Okay, so you got Justice Curiel there, who the president famously said, quote, he's a hater of Donald Trump, called him a Mexican, Spanish, said he's proud of his heritage, yet Judge Curiel was born in Indiana. Will that have any impact, or does it, do you think, in Judge Curiel's thinking about this decision?
No, not at all. I mean, I was a judge for a long time. I was a judge for 9 years. I mean, judges take their jobs very, very seriously. There's little to no activism from judges. Obviously, if there is any activism by this particular judge, we'll know about it, we'll report on it, we'll certainly rise up against it. But frankly, he's not going to let any personal biases come into the mix.
Yeah, and David, I mean, it seemed that during these arguments, I mean, he listened to everything, and he potentially couldn't be siding with the administration, perhaps.
He absolutely, we don't know which way he's going to side. He could side with the administration. Judge Curiel has an excellent reputation, and I agree with Mercedes that he will be fair and impartial in deciding this case.
Now, the main issue, David, here, of course, is the states that filed lawsuits, and there's something called a waiver. Can you explain that?
Yeah.
The federal government has these waivers. They want to try to build the wall, and the states go, oh, you can't do that because of environmental protection.
Right. Certainly under the Real ID Act of 2005, it allowed the Department of Homeland Security to issue these waivers, which means if you want to erect, if they want to erect a border wall, a border wall, then they certainly can waive all those local laws, federal laws, environmental laws, Clean Water Act. It's all waived because of the security issue of illegal immigrants coming across that border, and also illegal drugs and narcotics crossing the border as well.
So you're saying that security under the law trumps, environmental issues, for example?
Absolutely. Trump's environmental issues, Trump's local laws, and I think the administration will be successful.
Well, Mercedes, it sounds like, I mean, the administration,
that's why, Eric,
go ahead, would be successful if that's the case.
No, and that's exactly why there's such an uprising, because you can imagine, we're talking about individuals that live along this. These are private property owners that live along these borders. Of course there's some uprising. You're saying you're going to suspend all the laws that afford us some semblance of protection? I mean, there's so many statistics out there back and forth as to whether illegals actually pose a real serious criminal threat to population, and it just the statistics just don't bear it out, Eric. There are studies out there that say that there's significant less likelihood of illegal immigrants coming into this country to actually commit crimes. And especially now with ICE being so aggressive that when there are these illegal immigrants here, they're being deported. They're fearful of being deported from this country, so they're less likely to do anything to commit crimes. At least that's what the statistics bear out.
We've had some very high-profile cases recently, Mercedes, and there was this illegal alien in court, being proud that he's a convicted cop killer.
And it's horrible and it's terrible, but there's 185,000 crimes that occur in this country, and a small percentage are done by illegal immigrants. So we have to, and I understand it's absolutely horrible. We've talked about some of these horrors that have been committed by illegal aliens, but there's a very small sliver of them that are actually
Mercedes,
doing that.
Besides that issue, what about let's say the environmental issue or the property rights issue, when you've got eminent domain, basically the federal government coming in and grabbing whatever they want, in violation perhaps of your property rights, and under federal law you're saying it's okay.
Yeah,
that's what's so scary about this, Eric. I mean, that's what's so fearful. That's why people are scared of it.
All right, David.
Yeah, I'm saying it's okay. Look, it's the bottom line is people's property rights get violated all the time, and they're entitled to fair compensation when their property rights are being violated. And certainly when you live around the border area, there's a good chance that those property rights will be violated, but there is just and fair compensation involved in this process as well.
Yeah, but you know what the people say? There's never fair compensation. Yeah. They try to lowball them. The government comes in, lowballs you, and you end up the loser, David.
Yeah, I'm just, look, the law is the law because it's the law.
Just and fair compensation, David, is not fair market value.
They did the same thing with the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. They took people's property. So certainly for a border wall, they could do the same thing.
Yeah, Mercedes, go ahead.
But Eric, you're so exactly right, because those that have those private properties are saying, wait, it's a fair market value, not just and fair compensation. It's two different things. And we know that there are many properties that are valued much higher than just and fair compensation that's allowed under the law.
So basically, it's supposed to be a decision on Thursday. Mercedes, finally, how do you think this will go?
Oh my goodness. I mean, frankly, I think it's going to be in favor of the private property owners. I think these waivers are not going to be going to put into place.
You don't think it'll be upheld, that he's going to uphold the federal government's right under the law, Mercedes?
I do not.
Ah, David, what about
That's
that?
my
I mean,
guess,
I think
Eric.
the waivers will be upheld, but hopefully the administration will do the right thing. And for those property rights that are being violated, there will be fair compensation given to those property owners. But there is an emergency situation. I think they laid it out clearly in the oral arguments, and I believe they will be successful.
And, you know, no matter which way it goes, potentially, it sounds like a Supreme Court case, you know, eventually.
It does.
Exactly.
All right, wow.
agree.
Well,
Exactly right.
We'll keep on following to see which side wins on Thursday, at least, and if indeed it goes to the higher court. Mercedes and David, thank you so much, as
Thanks,
always.
Eric. Thanks,
Of course.
Mercedes.
Thanks so much, Eric.
Arthel?
And Eric, about the
Thank you.
case that you just mentioned, a California jury handing down a guilty verdict to an illegal immigrant who